Do you know that moment when you feel that you are being pushed by the circumstances, reacting instead of acting, and it seems that you have lost control of your own life? It is more common than it seems. The good news: there is a way back. And it starts inside you. In this video, you will find out how self-discipline, this invisible muscle that shapes giants, may be the key to regaining your inner freedom. A Stoic philosophy, although ancient, offers practical and powerful tools for those who want to live with clarity, focus, and purpose. No magic formulas, but solid foundations for you to become the architect of your own existence. If you are tired of promising changes that do not happen, let your goals slip through your hands for lack of constancy or focus, stay here. This content has been made for you, which you know more, you feel it is time to turn the game. And the turn starts now. A lot of people believe that success comes from luck or natural gifts, but the truth is that discipline is what transforms potential for results. Talent can give you an initial boost, luck can open some doors, but it is the constancy of actions that support any journey. Discipline is the cement that unites your dreams to reality. Without it, everything crumbles over time. Think about how many bright people you've seen giving up halfway. It lacked inner strength, that silent commitment to continue even when the will disappears. That's where the discipline comes into play. It holds the tips on difficult days, keeps focus when everything looks uncertain, and reminds you of why you started. Success, after all, is built in the invisible of the routine. Want a practical example? Take any Olympic athlete. They do not depend on being motivated to train. They follow a plan. Every day. Without negotiation. This same principle goes for you, whether to improve your health, advance your career, or change a habit. Discipline is the link that connects where you are with where you want to go. Many people confuse self-discipline with repression. But living with discipline is not oppressing, it is aligning. It is making conscious choices that are in tune with their values and goals, not momentary wills. True freedom is not doing everything you want when you want, but to have mastery over you and choose what really matters. Self-imposition, on the other hand, is when you follow rules that you don't even understand, charging yourself in a heavy way, without clear purpose. This wears out, tires, and pushes any chance of constancy. Self-discipline is born of self-knowledge and clarity of purpose. When you know why you are doing something, the effort gains meaning, and that changes everything. Exercising every day because it has is exhausting. But if you connect this practice with your health, your longevity, your mental well-being, everything changes. It is not about doing hard, but with conscience. Authentic discipline is light because it is consistent. She doesn't weigh, she guides. And when there is clarity, the effort becomes part of the way, not a punishment. The basis of discipline is not on great achievements, but on the small agreements you fulfill yourself every day. Getting up as you promised, ending that task you avoided, keeping the word given, all this builds something invisible but powerful, its self-confidence. And it is from this confidence that true inner pride is born. When you start to trust yourself, something changes. You stop depending on the validation of others to feel capable. Each action fulfilled becomes a brick in the construction of its personal integrity. And this gradually becomes strength. No matter the size of the goal, but the constancy of the small choices you make along the way. Want a practical tip? Choose a simple task like tidying up or meditating for 5 minutes and make it a sacred ritual. Repetition creates structure, and the structure generates internal safety. The secret is not to force yourself, but to show your brain, day after day, that you are reliable. This transforms the way you see yourself and how it acts. That sense of guilt that appears after postponing an important task is not just discomfort, it's a warning. Every time you procrastinate something you know you should do, weakens your relationship with yourself. The guilt in this case is the result of a misalignment between what you value and what you practice on a daily basis. On the other hand, when you act consistently, even in small steps, it begins to build real self-esteem. Not the one that depends on external compliments, but the one that is born of integrity to do what needs to be done, even without applause. Self-esteem is not a gift, it is a silent achievement, cut in the practice of consistency. Want an antidote against procrastination? Replace "I have to do" with "I want to be someone who does it." Change the internal speech. When you act on purpose and not for obligation, even difficult tasks gain meaning. And the more sense there is in what you do, the less space left with guilt, and the more space is born for trust. Before any action, there is a thought. And this is where self-discipline begins, in the way you interpret the world and judge what happens around you. It's not what happens to you sabotage you, it's how you think about it. Your mind is the terrain where everything is built or collapses. If you face a task like a burden, you will seek ways to avoid it. But if your vision changes and sees it as a necessary step for its growth, resistance decreases. Therefore, cultivating emotional vigilance is essential. Question your thoughts, analyze your reactions, and, if necessary, reformulate. Thinking clearly is an act of silent discipline. Want to strengthen this foundation? Start writing down your automatic thoughts when you feel resistance. Ask, is this really true? Does this approach me or move away from my purpose? This simple practice of self-reflection sharpens its sense of reality. And the more lucid you are, the firmer your base will be consistently. Being disciplined does not mean being cold or disconnected from emotions. Quite the contrary. Stoicism teaches us that emotions are like messengers. They come to show something, not to command everything. The problem is not feeling, but being dragged by what we feel without understanding why. To master is to learn to listen to these emotions without letting them say the course. It's like driving in the rain. You can't ignore the weather, but you can't stop the car either that the road wets. You need to adjust the speed, keep the steering wheel firmly, and follow. The same goes for anger, fear, or anxiety. Listen, understand, and act wisely. A simple and powerful practice is the break. Did you feel something strong? Take a deep breath, tell up to 5, note. This break creates space between impulse and action. And in this space, the domain is born. It is not about repressing, but of driving. And when you start doing this regularly, your inner strength is no longer reactive and becomes strategic. It is easy to start something when we are excited. It is hard to continue when the excitement goes away, and it goes. Motivation is like the weather, it changes. Discipline is like a compass, constant, firm, and guided by purpose. Who depends on being motivated to act will stop every time the enthusiasm falls. Constantia is what differentiates those who try to perform. It is she who takes you forward even when the scenario is discouraging. Maintaining a reading routine, exercises, studies, or any useful habit does not require daily inspiration, but a renewed decision. Today I continue. Simple as that. And powerful like that. Want a practical tip? Create rituals instead of depending on will. For example, define that every day, at 8 a.m., you will walk, rain or sun. Without negotiation. Over time, this act becomes automatic. Constancy is not glamorous, but it is infallible. And when you notice her fruits, you don't even miss motivation. One of the biggest waste of energy is to worry about what is out of reach. Climate, opinions of others, third-party decisions all may affect you, but you don't have to master you. Stoicism teaches a valuable lesson: focus on what you can control. Only then your release begins. When you redirect your attention to the actions that depend on you, recovers power. Instead of complaining about the situation, asks, what can I do with what I have now? This simple change transforms passivity into action. And conscious action is one of the largest pillars of self-discipline. Want to apply this? Make a list of everything that worries you and mark with a star what is under your direct control. Focus on these stars every day. This reduces anxiety, increases clarity, and saves mental energy. Because in the end, your strength multiplies when you invest it in what can really transform. Discipline does not only live in the field of ideas, it proves itself in practice. At work, for example, it's that decision to finish what started, even when no one is looking. It is saying no for distractions and yes for quality delivery. Disciplined professionals do not shine only on good days, they build a reputation on constancy. In career change, discipline is what sustains studies, networking, patience with the process. It is easy to dream of a new life, it is difficult to continue studying at night after a tiring day. And in physical activity, it appears when the body wants bed, but you choose the training. It is not about being radical, but about being compromised. Whatever your area, ask yourself, what a disciplined version of me would do here. Then act like this version. Create reminders, block schedules, eliminate distraction triggers. The secret is to transform intentions into routines. Because discipline is not just a trait of character, it is a series of practical choices, day after day. You can't keep discipline in something that makes no sense to you. Therefore, self-knowledge is the starting point. When you understand your values, recognize your strengths, and face your weaknesses head-on, discipline is no longer a burden and becomes an act of alignment. It is acting in coherence with who you are and who you want to become. Finding out what really matters to you prevents you from investing energy in goals that are not your own. Sometimes the lack of constancy is not lazy, it is disconnect. So stop and ask yourself, why is this important to me? When the answer is clear, the effort gains direction. And right direction saves strength. Want a practical exercise? Write 3 things you value deeply in life and, next to you, evaluate if your daily actions are aligned with it. If there is imbalance, there is the origin of your demotivation. And also the starting point for a lighter, more authentic and especially more effective discipline. You may have heard that we are the average of the 5 people we live with, right? This is not just a phrase of effect, it is practical reality. Its environment directly influences its discipline, its motivation, and even its decisions. Being close to people who value constancy, purpose, and action can completely transform your level of performance. When you walk with those who live complaining, sabotaging goals, and disorganized, it ends up infiltrating your choices. On the other hand, when you live with those who have productive habits and talk about growth, your standard rises without forced effort. The discipline becomes something natural, almost contagious in a good way. If your current environment does not favor your progress, start by creating micro-environment. It can be an online study group, a training partner, or even a playlist that puts you in the right mood. The secret is not to expect the environment to shape you, start shaping the environment. Because discipline is easier to maintain when the terrain collaborates. Contractions are inevitable. But what differentiates a disciplined person is the way they react to them. Stoicism teaches that we should not waste energy on what we cannot change. Happened a delay? A mistake? An unforeseen one? Breathe deep. No victimism, no soap opera. Just adjust the plan and move on. Of course, it's normal to feel frustration, we are human. But feeding the drama only increases the weight of the problem. Instead, adopt the Stoic attitude: observe, accept, answer clearly. Each challenge can be an internal domain training. And the less you let yourself be affected by external noises, the more energy you have to continue in the right direction. Want to practice this? When something irritates you or expected, say mentally, "That's just it." Nothing more. This simple phrase cuts the dramatization cycle and gives you back the focus. Remember, your time and peace are too valuable to be wasted in automatic reactions. Being stoic in everyday life is, above all, a strategy of practical wisdom. Discipline is not just about brute strength, it needs emotional fuel. And gratitude is one of the most powerful. When you connect with what you already have, what you have already achieved, and even the challenges that have made you stronger, the weight of tasks decreases. Gratitude changes the lens with which you see reality. Do you know that day when everything seems to go wrong? Before I dive into the complaint, stop and reflect what is working in my life now. This is not toxic positivity, it is mental strategy. Gratitude reduces anxiety, reinforces your presence in the now, and reminds you that not everything is out of place. This renews your willingness to follow. A simple practice before bed: write down 3 things you were grateful for the day. It can be something small: a smile, a hot coffee, a moment of silence. This routine strengthens your emotional stability. And with more stability, discipline has not become a burden, becomes a way of honoring the life you already have while building what you want. Self-discipline is not just about you. It has a domino effect. When someone sees their constancy, their responsibility, and their integrity in everyday life, something awakens that person. Your example starts to inspire without you say a word. And this silent influence can transform whole environments, from your home to your work. Have you noticed how close to someone discipline pushes you to improve? Yeah, you can be that person to someone. The way you take care of your routines, your words, your posture, communicate more than any speech. Discipline becomes inspiration when it is lived with authenticity and consistency. Want to serve with your discipline? Begin being a reference in small attitudes. Fulfill schedules, keep the word, take care of what is yours. Sometimes this is what someone around you are missing to get up to. Discipline is a seed that, when well planted, blooms in various directions and often where you least expect it. Spending energy on what doesn't depend on you is like trying to row against the current, tiring and useless. One of the biggest secrets of discipline is knowing how to select what deserves your attention. Not everything that bothers you deserves an answer. And not everything that happens around you need to interfere with your peace. Stoicism teaches us to filter. Before reacting, ask, is this under my control? If the answer is no, accept and follow. If so, act with strategy. This simple distinction between reacting and responding completely changes the game. Because discipline is also energy savings, knowing where to invest and where to pass. A good practice is starting the day with a question: where is my focus today? This helps you to anticipate emotional distractions and keep the way. The more selective you are with what you affect you, the more lightness you will feel. And lightness, contrary to popular belief, is not an enemy of discipline, it is the terrain where the discipline flourishes. Many people see discipline as a prison, when in fact it is the key to freedom. It seems contradictory, but it is simple. When you have mastery over your impulses and decisions, it does not depend on motivation, circumstances, or approval of others. You become free to act according to your values and not according to the winds of the moment. Discipline organizes your life. And an organized life allows time for what really matters: your projects, your health, your relationships, your peace. Chaos seems more free, but in the end it only generates stress, waste of time and frustration. True freedom is being able to choose with conscience and support this choice with attitude. Want to see this in practice? Think of someone who has a clear routine, who sleeps well, works with purpose, and still has time to take care of himself. This person is not controlled by discipline, he uses discipline to gain autonomy. In the end, discipline is not a limitation. It is the bridge between what you want and the life you deserve to live. Productivity applications, digital planners, alarms, checklists. All this can be great. But it is important to understand tools are facilitators, not substitutes for your will. No technology does the job for you. She may remind you, but she can't decide. She can organize you, but she can't move you. The trap here is to depend so much on the tools that when they fail, you stop too. Have you seen people who have the Best Habits app, but do not fulfill any? So it is. The basis of discipline is internal. Technology only enhances what already exists: its clarity, its decision, its commitment. Want to use technology to your advantage? Choose a simple tool that doesn't require much time to set up, like Todoist, Google Calendar, or Notion. Use strategic reminders, set realistic goals, and review your agenda every weekend. But remember the true system that sustains all this. It's you. Discipline is not a straight line, it is a journey with stumbles, breaks, and restarts. Expecting yourself perfection is a right recipe for frustration. True strength is knowing how to get up fast, not turning a slip into withdrawal. Missing one day does not erase the effort of an entire week. Just shows that you are human. When you understand that discipline is about resilience, not rigidity, it begins to act more lightly and constancy. You can be firm without being hard with you. In fact, those who evolve are not the ones who always get it right, but those who know how to get back quickly for the track. Because consistency is measured in months, not in isolated days. A practical tip: have an emergency plan for when it slips. It can be a light routine to resume the rhythm, or an internal reception conversation, such as "Okay, let's go again." This strategic flexibility strengthens its mindset. And with a resilient mind, you not only build habits, you build a new version of yourself. At first glance, discipline seems something that holds you. But in practice, it frees it. The paradox is this: the more you commit to conscious routines and decisions, the more light and authentic your life becomes. Rigor with your choices generates autonomy. You are no longer hostage to your impulses and becomes the protagonist of your own history. Constancy also has a subtle and powerful effect: it silences inner chaos. You stop living on autopilot, urgently jumping into urgency, and walks clearly. This gives you freedom of truth, the one that is born of knowing that it is in control of your direction, even if not everything is perfect around. Want to realize this in practice? Think about what it's like to live with a quiet mind because you are doing what you need to be done. This is inner peace, and peace is power. Discipline in this context does not hold you, it positions you. It gives you the basis to say yes to what matters and no without guilt. She teaches you, in the background, to be free by choice, not by escape. Discipline is not a forced shirt, it is an armor that you build, piece by piece, with each daily decision. It is not a matter of repressing wills, but of channeling your energy to what makes sense. In the end, being disciplined is choosing consciously the kind of life you want to live and act toward her, day after day. You don't have to be perfect, just committed. You don't have to get it right, you just can't stop trying. Discipline is the foundation of inner freedom, true realization, that feeling of being at peace with what you do and who you are becoming. It is about giving its own life with firmness, clarity, and purpose. And now that you understand all this, what will you do with this power? The choice is in your hands. And if you want to continue growing, reflecting, and strengthening with me, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Because the journey of inner construction is continuous and you don't have to do it yourself.